Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business, the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready?
Welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneur Encounter. Today, we are going to talk about empathetic leadership, being authentic in leadership, and finding ways to connect with your network. We're excited to have Larissa with us today. She is the manager of a nonprofit law firm that provides free civil legal services to low-income families in North Carolina. Larissa, we are super excited to have you today to have these discussions and talk about all things leadership. Can you tell us a little bit about you and all the awesome things that you do for the nonprofit?
Sure. Thanks for having me. So, yes, I am one of the regional managers for Legal Aid of North Carolina. Legal Aid of North Carolina is a statewide nonprofit law firm that serves all 100 counties, and we represent people in a variety of practice areas. And as you mentioned, it's free civil legal services for low-income North Carolinians. And so what does that mean? It means you have to income qualify. There's just a few exceptions to that. Our survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking are funded under a different grant, and so they don't have to income qualify for many reasons, one being that typically their finances are wrapped up with the abusers. So certainly for them, it's a little different. But for the most part, you have to income qualify, and it has to be one of the practice areas we work in. And so as I mentioned, it's civil legal services, so we don't work on any criminal law unless it's expunction relief. We do have a second chance project that helps expunge criminal records that qualify. But for the most part, it's free civil legal services. And the two primary practice areas are our housing eviction defense work and our domestic violence representation work. We also have a pretty large disaster relief project, which is front and center right now. It's a statewide project, and we're the leading legal services agency statewide right now working on that. We have partners at the North Carolina Bar Foundation working on that with us, as well as some other partners. But we're leading the efforts. As you can imagine, it's been busy. And so our main focus this week has been getting private pro bono volunteers to help and funding to get that project built up even more to help even more people right now. So we do a lot of great work, and I manage the Southern Piedmont region. So that's Mecklenburg County and 6 counties kind of surrounding that area. So it's Stanley, Cabarrus, Union, Mecklenburg, Gaston, Cleveland, and Lincoln County those are my counties.
That's a wide area for our audience that doesn't know or is based in North Carolina. That is a very broad area.
And my home base is in Charlotte. It's where I think I live in the Charlotte area, and my actual office, I sit in the Charlotte office, and I also manage the local Charlotte office. So, yeah. And then before being a regional managing attorney, I did a lot of other stuff at Legal Aid. I was a domestic violence attorney for most of my practice.
I feel like that is either one of those positions, I guess, requires a great deal of leadership. So can you tell us a bit more about your leadership philosophy, and feel free to dabble into the experience along the way that helped you lean in or cultivate that philosophy?
Definitely. So I really believe in authentic leadership. I think it's important to know what your strengths are, what your personality is like, really learn and explore who you are as a person, because I think that makes you a more authentic leader. I think one person leading is not going to lead like the other person leading next to them. And if they try to like mimic it, it's probably not going to go well, and people are going to see that, right? It's just like two different people and two different styles. And I have been really fortunate to have really great leaders at Legal Aid that I've been able to pull from over the years, have had really great mentors. Even my leaders now are just fantastic and really pour into me, and they've invested in me and allowed me to explore my leadership style through various leadership trainings and conferences, but also, just provided a lot of professional development opportunities and supported me in those opportunities, even when they're not necessarily connected to legal aid, like bar association work. I think that's helped develop my style also. I think if you ask my staff, they will tell you that I'm like really authentic, sometimes to the point of just being like completely open. There's certain things I can't share at times, and I'm obviously confidential when I need to be, but to the point that I can be transparent with them and share information and just listen. We spend so much time with people in the office. Most of our lives, I think, are spent with our coworkers, our colleagues. And so there's no need to be miserable in a job. We're all here together trying to do good work, and it's hard work. But if we can make it enjoyable and have a culture where we all get along and end up becoming similar to friends, then I think that's helpful. And I think authentic leadership kind of helps to foster those relationships.
I think that is great that you said that. I am such an advocate for the workplace and creating like a great positive culture and making sure that everybody is having the success that they need to be able to work with the team, leadership, because it all starts with you as a person and obviously as a leader, and then it trickles down to the rest of your team. So being able to show transparency, being open, having that open door policy, communicating with your team, like all these things are great. And I love it. Me personally, like I'm on the mission to like humanize the workplace. Like I want to make sure that everybody in the workplace is set up for success, because then what's the point? Because you have a team for a reason, right?
Right. And everybody has things that they're good at, things that they can develop, right? And so tapping into that so that you can be an effective team and working together. Life can be hard. It's like, let's have fun. Let's enjoy what we're doing together and do good work.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So you mentioned something about there's things that you sometimes can't share. Given your background, that is a no-brainer. However, is there a way that you recommend or guide that balancing of vulnerability? Like, how do you share your true self with your team members or those high above you without oversharing or undermining your confidence in a role? I feel like there's a fine line there.
Right. No, there definitely is. And I probably kind of maybe go closer to oversharing.
Well, for those that are listening, like before we started recording, that's where I felt. I was like, I need a vent. And you asked how I was. So I was like, I don't want to overshare, but I needed it off my chest.
That's what people want to know, right? Here's the thing. We're all doing life and we're all going through, if not the same thing, very similar things, right? And so
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, we can all act like we don't have kids and like they're not sick this morning, or we can all act like we do because a lot of us do, and we can just commiserate together. To your question of like, what is oversharing? I tend to, if I'm comfortable sharing it and it does not involve another person, then I will likely share it. If it's comfortable to me and it's not going to share somebody else's personal confidential information that's not my business to share, then I will share it. But that's kind of where I draw the line. If there's another person in the story and by sharing it, I would be sharing their information and they've not given me the green light to do that, or it's a personnel issue, or obviously, which I would never share, or a client issue that I have to keep confidential or something like that, then of course I'm going to keep those things confidential. But when it's something personal to me, or how my day is doing, or what's going on in my life with my kids or whatever, I'll just share it.
Makes me feel better.
At least in my experience, it hasn't undermined my authority. If anything, it humanizes me. It allows them to see that I understand when they experience life. And also I implement like the rules and the policies when I have to. They also know that I'm going to do that because I'm consistent with that. I don't think that it undermines my authority. I think it just makes me a better leader. And they're more comfortable coming to me with all sorts of things, including mistakes, right? Because attorneys and everybody makes mistakes. And so they'll be willing to come to me with those things when they happen.
There's so many things I could say. I'm trying to think of what I want to say first. I think that does help with venting, because sometimes in entrepreneurship or in the professional setting, even if you work a 9 to 5, it's still a mental block that we aren't safe to share. Even I was worried about venting to Sarah before you got on the call. I was just like, but if I don't get this out of my system, I'm probably going to cry on the episode or something.
Yeah.
And we don't need that. So it's just very nice to have, like both of you have said, that humanizing element, that open door policy. Like, I don't even think I can fully form words into where I'm going with that, but I think that is a great level of leadership. And I love seeing how different organizations, whether it's nonprofits, for-profits, and anywhere in between, how they're putting their own unique spin on it so that their entire team has a psychologically safe space to go to if they don't feel comfortable talking to their partner or they're a single parent. It's just really great to see that happening.
Agreed. And I also feel like a lot of people always talk about, oh, well, culture needs to change for women or people of color or whatever. And I'm both, right? I'm a woman of color. And I'm just like, well, how's it going to change if we're not living that out? If I'm not living it out and showing a generation younger than me that they could do that, how will it ever change? I mean, yeah, I get some dings along the way. It doesn't always go well for me, right? But I think overall, because there were people before me who did it, it has gone well for me for the most part. And it will continue to get better and better and better the more we implement these ways of leadership and the more we show up authentically as ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe too, like if you say that you want to put change in the workplace, like live by that, because I've seen it happen before when companies want to say, hey, let's put this new change in place to encourage teamwork, team collaboration. And then they say it just to say that they're going to do it, but they never do it. To me, that really bothers me as a leader because, again, humanizing the workplace and making sure that everybody's set up for success, because if you're not going to make changes, it's not going to go anywhere.
So how have you, over the years, connected with your team to utilize empathetic communication?
I think one of the ways is that before I was in the role that I'm in now, I did what they did, right? Like I did that work. I'm not saying that people cannot go into a leadership position and not have done the line work, so to speak, but I do think it makes a difference when you have, right? And I have, like I've done most of all the roles and positions other than the support staff positions, but I've done all the attorney positions within my office that other people are doing. And I think that makes me a more empathetic leader, allows me to communicate. Like I remember what it was like to have the caseloads that they have. I remember what it was like to interact with difficult opposing counsel or judges or mediators, negotiators, whatever. I remember what it was like to deal with difficult clients who are under incredibly distressing situations. So that allows for me to then more empathetically understand where they're at and communicate with them when I'm communicating with them about either those issues or something unrelated to it, right? Because I know what's happening in their life as they're practicing in the role that they're in.
I love that because you've been there. My background, I used to work in a nonprofit. I was a workforce advocate. So I was that case manager. I was the only case worker, right? I was the one that had 50 plus clients at once by myself. And now as like a business owner and looking at that gave me the skills to realize, okay, this is how I should manage a team, because I know how I was managed as a team and I didn't like it. I wanted to change that. So just seeing that made me realize like, that's not how it should be done.
Yeah, definitely. And then again, just understanding, as we mentioned earlier, that everybody has their personal life that they're bringing into this. So trying to understand people where they're at and meet them where they're at, because everybody has different needs. Not everybody's needs are the same. Not everybody learns the same, trains the same. I'd love for all our staff to be successful, and that looks different for each one of them, depending on what their goals are and how they learn and what they want. So taking that time to really learn that about each one of my staff members so that I can best support them in their professional development and sometimes even personal development, I think, is huge.
I feel like that's a great service to provide your team, because that's something I feel like I share with my kids all the time. Because even last night, my son was doing homework and he's like, I did this last year. And I'm like, well, your teacher has to teach to everyone in the room. So you may be good at it, but someone else is not. And it wouldn't hurt you to have a refresher.
Right.
So I was trying to get him to understand, like, everyone's needs are different. Everyone's home lives are different. So the teacher has to provide some help in some way. And that's something that I tried in my parenting and with my team of like one. I have a small team, but I tried to provide help when I do weekly check-ins without expecting anything in return. Hey, here's this great tool or resource that I found. I want to share it with you. It's not an affiliate link. I'm getting literally nothing other than the good vibes and feels of sharing it with you or being genuinely curious in the work that they're doing, whether for me or for other clients, like checking in with absolutely no agenda other than, hey, Larissa, how are you today?
Right.
Yeah.
And like really wanting to know.
Exactly.
I know we talked about this before the reframe. It's like, no, if I ask you, I really want to know, like, how are you doing? What's going on? Tell me what's going on in your life.
Yes. So anyone that is curious, Sarah and I both have basically open door policies. If we ask, we want to know like the good, bad, ugly, dirty, everything, because we can't genuinely help or solve your problem if we don't know what's going on.
Agreed. And I will just say that sometimes you have to find creative ways. There's only so much time in a day and capacity can be difficult, right? There's capacity challenges. And as a working mom of 3, like sometimes fitting it in when I can, right? But if it means like I think about that person at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night and I'm like, hey, saw you had a hard day at court. Sorry, I wasn't able to send this before. Don't feel like you have to reply now, because certainly don't feel like you have to reply after hours. But like, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you and that I noticed. And if you find me tomorrow and you want to chat about it, like, let's chat about it. Like things like that, right? Like it's not always going to be like right when it happens or dropping exactly everything I'm doing, like if I'm in a meeting or something like that, but just making sure to go back and revisit people and situations that need to be revisited, even if it means after dinner or when I put my kids to bed or whatever.
I like the fluidity of that, or like the free form of it doesn't have to be rigid in your standard office hours. Just, oh, I was thinking of you. Or maybe leaving a note on their desk. I do that a lot.
Speaking of leaving notes on the desks, when I used to work in office, on Fridays, I literally would look up like random facts just about random things, and I would on sticky notes. And when nobody was at their desk, like whenever time someone got up, I would sneak over and put a little note. And it didn't like dawn on them, who's doing this? Like I literally went behind people's backs, left little like random facts just to like make it lighter in the office. Cause obviously like sometimes dealing with sensitive things and all this, I wanted to make sure there was a laugh. And it was funny because we didn't have like cubicles. Everything was open. It was an open office. So you would hear laughter all day. It was so funny.
Oh,
I love that.
That was like the cutest thing. I think that's one thing I do miss about like working in office with people is just to have, you know, those little things.
Right. That's so fun. I love that. We do that a lot too. They love to clown me and we clown each other. Like you'll come in the office and somebody would have put something on your door. So in my position, I had to do a lot of like interviews with like media or different things. And one time, one of them got a really like not glamorous, kind of like in the middle of me talking sort of picture that they like screenshotted while I was doing an interview with like a media reporter. And I had like weirdest face that I was making at the time. And they like plastered it on the wall. They like made it into a poster size and put it on the wall. It's just like the funniest thing. So we do stuff like that too. It's just funny. Like nobody takes themselves too seriously. And yeah, to your point, just putting stuff on someone's desk or wall without them anticipating it can bring like a lot of laughter and a lot of fun.
So fun.
Hey there, listeners. Ever feel like you're struggling to connect with customers or lead your team effectively? That's where soft skills come in.
Entrepreneur Encounter isn't just another podcast. We're a community dedicated to helping early stage entrepreneurs like you master the soft skills that make or break a business.
Technical skills are important, but without communication, collaboration, and confidence, your business might never get off the ground to the next level.
In our membership, Dana and I share actionable insights and tips to help you nurture the soft skills you need to thrive.
Give you access to bonus content, workshops, and a network of like-minded entrepreneurs who are all on the same journey.
We'll teach you how to boost your confidence,
Become a leader who inspires and motivates your team,
navigate conflict like a pro,
to resolve disagreements without drama and build stronger relationships.
communicate clearly and concisely, get your message across, build trust, and close the deal.
If you're ready to take your business to the next level, join the circle by clicking the link in the show notes. When my calendar allows, I do escape to a co-working space to do my recordings most of the time. But everyone, like, I was joking, like the energy level, it's 2 stories, is different on each one, like completely. All the women somehow, or not all the women, but the majority of the women are upstairs. And then all the men are like downstairs in the bat cave, basically. And it's so quiet down there. I wonder if I started leaving Post-its on their desk or on their door, if they have an office, if that would like brighten up the energy. I'm going to test it next week.
You should absolutely do it. I'm curious.
See what happens.
Even if we don't talk again, I want you to let me know.
I sure will. We're connected on LinkedIn. I'll find you.
Story time. We definitely need more people like you, Larissa, honestly, because a lot of the times people that are in leadership roles, they feel like they have the ego or the power trip or whatever. And I've had personal experience with CEOs and leadership people that are probably should not be in that role. So I think from what I believe, the takeaway from this episode was just be kind and humanize the workplace, make, entrepreneur or not, it's like you want to help people in a way. To me, it's not all about the money, right? It's about building those relationships and making sure that people are set up for success.
I 100% agree. Like, you're nothing without your team, right? Like, we're doing the work together. And if one of those pieces goes missing, then you feel it. It's not helpful for anybody. The leader is only there to have their role to help in certain ways, but their role is no more important than anybody else's role. And like, we all need to function well together to be able to get the work done. And I will tell you, thankfully, and I mentioned this before, but I have the best leaders. Our CEO, my chief regional manager, like a lot of people that I've had along the way who are my managers at Legal Aid. I mean, we really have a really great team. And I just have to say this because I think it's pretty cool. We are over 70% women led. So,
that's awesome.
Maybe that's why it's so cool. Just kidding. We love our guy entrepreneur professionals. We love you.
Yes, absolutely. It's with everybody. But I just had to put that out there. We're really proud of that. But yeah, no, they're great. They've all been great and they taught me a lot. So, I'm very fortunate to have their examples.
That's awesome.
I love that. So for those that are listening, and especially given at the time of this, like for anyone that is wanting to learn more about Legal Aid or to support the efforts, like how can our audience find you and connect?
Go to www.legalaidnc.org, or you can find us at Legal Aid NC on almost any social media platform, Facebook, Instagram. I'm showing my age now because I don't remember what all of them are, but they're all out there and we're on all of them. So you can go find us and you will see all the great work we do, all our many practice areas, the many ones that I couldn't even go over. You will also see an opportunity to either volunteer with us or donate to the cause. And yeah, it'll share all about our needs and the people we serve and the demographics that we serve. And you can find a lot of information up there, really good information. Also, if you need to apply for our services, we are here for you. If you are in North Carolina and qualify for our services, especially if you were impacted by the recent disaster or any of our other practice areas, housing issues, consumer issues, domestic violence, education issues, whatever civil legal needs that we work on that you find yourself needing, feel free to apply either online at that website or through our helpline, which the phone number is also online that you can see.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's so helpful.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. As always, all of our information is going to be in the show notes. Until next time, bye.
Bye.